Hello, everyone. How are you doing today? Great to see you. If you are watching this back, would love to hear where you are watching from, as well as where you are in your practice, just what's going on for you, what you're struggling with. I'm here to help, so would love to hear from you. I'm so happy to be here today. It is 2 weeks away from Thanksgiving week, which is crazy. I just had a late morning gym session, so my hair is wet. But yeah, I hope you are all doing great. Welcome. So today we are going to be talking about the fastest, but also the most sustainable way to hit 10K months in your private practice. Because I know that 10K months is like the goal, and there's for a lot of people. Some people it's more, some people it's not quite there. But there's a lot out there about how to do this, but we want to do it in a way that's sustainable. So we're going to talk about that today. But welcome. First, if you're new to my world, I'm Emma and I'm a business strategist for therapists, and I help impact driven therapists build and grow practices that support their lifestyle, that give them financial freedom and security, that allow them to travel, have self care, have time and location freedom if they want it. I have been fully remote since 2020 in my private pay practice, and I spend most of my time in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. I travel the world. I help feminist women who struggle with self worth despite believing that the patriarchy is bullshit. And I charge $250 a session. So if you are interested in learning more about how we can build your private pay practice, I'll put the link to book a call with me in the comments. So, okay, let's get into it. So, we're going to talk today about the fastest and most sustainable way to hit your 10K months in private practice. So, if you're like many people, you've probably been wanting to grow your practice so that you can maybe get off insurance panels or leave that low paying agency job or get out of the crappy group practice where you feel undervalued for all the time and energy you're putting in. And you want to finally feel free to set your own hours. For instance, I work 2.5 days a week, Monday, Tuesday, and part of Wednesday in my practice. And you also want to charge a fee that supports you and really supports your family or the life you would like to live. And so maybe you have been trying to figure out how you can build a practice quickly so that you can get out of the crappy situation. But you also want those marketing efforts to be sustainable and not to be like, okay, I get a ton of clients, but then I have to keep up with this extreme pace or they're all going to go away, or I have to continue pouring money into this thing. So I get it. I have totally been there, and this training is for you. Okay, so let's face it. So one of the reasons I actually made this training is that I had heard of a person, another coach, who promises like therapists to get, a ton of clients without lifting a finger. And essentially this person was claiming that, they could just sort of set up ads for a therapist, and after doing the website and everything, and the therapist would get a ton of clients. So I have talked with people who have done things like this and programs like this. I'm not sure if it was the same exact thing. And first of all, for many of them, it didn't work. Sometimes these coaches are doing Instagram ads or Facebook ads, and most of the time, clients are not in general searching for us on Facebook and Instagram. I think it's kind of a less effective way to go about getting clients. It's not bad if you want to use social media, but that's not the primary way clients search for a therapist if they're willing to pay out of pocket for therapy. And furthermore, this strategy of just doing a bunch of ads, it's fine if that's what you want to do. First of all, you have to have a lot of things set up first to be able to do that, which we'll talk about. But another thing is you have to continue to just pour money into this thing month after month and probably get someone to do it for you unless you're really savvy, in order to keep your caseload full. So I want to talk to you about a way you can do this where your marketing is in your own hands and you do some work up front so that you get clients into your practice for years to come. And you feel like you know like where your clients are coming from and how you're going to get more clients. Okay. Because I think that some of those solutions can feel really attractive, like when we're feeling desperate, and I totally get that. I have been there in my private practice too. It can feel really attractive to do something like that, but it's not going to be probably sustainable for most of us to do. So you probably have seen these things, like just hire me to do your SEO, or we'll do, your ads or your website, and the clients are going to come pouring in. So again, I have talked to a lot of therapists who have poured money into some of these things and they have seen no results. Another reason for this is because sometimes when we hire people, and I've talked about this in other videos, when we hire people to do things like our website or SEO without kind of really vetting who is doing it, they might be just people who don't have a huge background in mental health, who just kind of or knowledge really about our niche. Even if they have knowledge of mental health, they might not have knowledge about our specific niche, and they might just be chalking our website full of like generic keywords. And first of all, sometimes that doesn't work. Like, people just look at it and they're like, this therapist doesn't seem at all special or good. And if it does work, it often will work with clients who like aren't really our ideal fit client, or potentially aren't really motivated for therapy or really seeing our value, because those people who just do our website or our SEO, they don't know and see our whole value and our whole education and what we bring and how we view things. Only you really know those things. Okay, so the truth is, though, that it is possible to build your practice quickly using sustainable methods that are actually going to decrease the amount of time you spend marketing over time. So I'll start with kind of an example. So my client, Sarah, when we first started our work together, her website wasn't up. She had no idea how to market herself, but she did know that she wanted to get full quickly, and she needed to for her family. By the end of our 3 months working together, she was full with a wait list, and she was also turning away new clients. So what did we do to get her there? And we're going to talk about this in depth. Well, first we did several things. The first thing we did was we made sure that she had this amazing converting niched down website. And still, looking at her website is a thing of beauty. It is awesome. That really is, and I have a template that shows all my clients how to do this, like what to put where, so that you know exactly what to do to get your website showing your value and also to be SEO optimized. So in order to do that, we first made sure that she was like super niched down, and that it was clear exactly who she worked with, and that her personality really shone through. And she has this great personality that really did show through on her website. We also made the website visually pleasing and professional. And she used a ton of terms that her ideal client would use, because she kind of was her ideal client. She was really able to do this also. And even if you're not your ideal client, you can absolutely do this. She really talked to them about their pain, about their suffering in a way that they got and really resonated with them. And then we also optimized her page for SEO. So we made sure she was, again, using those words that clients would use in order to be found by them when they were searching for her on Google. So again, rather than using words like, brain spotting and somatic experiencing therapy for, clients with complex developmental trauma, like her service pages were nothing like that. They were very much written in client language about struggles with ADHD, about, the kinds of things her clients struggle with. Okay, so that's the first thing. And I have other trainings about like making your website high converting, really making you the incomparable choice to ideal clients in other places. So you can go and watch those in the guide section of this group. So the next thing we did, and yeah, because of that, I'm going to focus on certain areas more in depth today. The next thing we did was we made sure her Psychology Today profile was also written in the language of her ideal client. And it was really speaking, like, it wasn't as much about her and about, like, we definitely need some of that. We definitely want our personalities to come through, but we don't want our Psychology Today profiles to just be like a laundry list of like all the trainings we've done and like all the like things we're passionate and adept at working with inside our practices. Because clients, when they're looking for a therapist, they actually don't care about that. And they're not here judging like how smart you are. They're really thinking their pain is clear, it's acute, it is top of their mind. They just want someone that they're like, oh my God, she or he gets my pain. So we want our Psychology Today profile to be written like to that, like to be really focused on our ideal clients, the struggle they're in and the outcome that they are wanting. And of course, you know, talk a bit about who we are and how we help and give them hope. But that's what we did for her too. We made sure her Psychology Today profile was written in a way that it was like really speaking to that client's perspective also. We actually couldn't do a Google business profile for her. She had some issues with her Google business profile. So we would have done that if we could. But this is, again, just proof that you can get full without a Google business profile. So the next thing we really did, and what we're going to focus on more today, is we really focused on her ability to leverage connections that were going to pay off for her. And by the way, another thing she did, which I think is helping her, which it's, she actually is big into social media. So she decided to like really take off with that more because she just like really wanted to. And when she started it, she was already pretty much full, I believe, in her practice. So that's a cool thing. And that kind of has helped her connections stay up to date with her. But it's just another, she was motivated to do that kind of stuff, which is awesome. Okay. So relationships. Relationships are some of the best, long-lasting, and reliable referral sources that there are for any industry, really, but for therapists, it's a big one. Because I want you to think, again, this is something I've shared in other trainings, but about the way clients are looking for a therapist, clients who are willing to pay out of pocket. These clients who are willing to pay out of pocket, they are probably searching on Google for a therapist, or they are probably asking around to people they know and trust, who are in, you know, who know about therapists. And so referral sources are huge. Like if I were looking for a therapist, I have a few therapist friends, being a therapist myself. I have a few therapist friends. I would probably ask for the best person to treat whatever the issue is that I am struggling with. And so we're going to focus on the relationship aspect of this. So so relationships are one of the best and longest lasting and reliable sources of clients. You can have relationships that keep your practice full for the life of your practice. I have relationships that I formed years and years ago that I can call up and the person or text them and be like, hey, you know, I'm feeling a little light. Do you have any referrals or whatever? And they'll send me someone. Or, you know, or they'll just ask me like, are you looking for a new client? Do you have space for a new client? So this is an awesome thing to have in your back pocket. However, it doesn't mean that you need to be like going to networking events, like all the networking events, or like joining some weird networking group or networking with a bunch of like therapists who are not full or who take insurance. You don't need to be like meeting up with everyone under the sun. And I'm an introvert, and that would just drive me insane, because networking, this is not going to be effective because it's going to drain you, and it's not very strategic as well. Networking without a strategy is really not building powerful relationships for your business. And it's going to exhaust you. It's going to backfire, and that you're going to hate and be more afraid of networking, and you're not going to want to do it. So I really recommend going into this strategically and also with the mindset. You're not just trying to do more, um, because again, that's going to lead to no return on that time you've invested, and you're going to feel potentially like really burnt out and potentially just kind of like you're going through the motions, and then that can lead to you feeling slimy, which I know you're not. You want to again be proactive versus like reactive in terms of just like, oh, I was told to network, so I'm just going to go like hand out some business cards or, meet up with this person who I'm meeting up with just because they responded to me or something like that, rather than really thinking about it. Okay, so one thing I want to say about this, like when you are connecting, well, I'm going to get into that in a second. First, I'm going to talk about how to know like who to think about networking with, because this is this is an important thing. And again, like if you're just giving people your business cards and stuff like that, like I've received so many business cards and I throw them all away literally. Okay, so what is this proactive networking? How do we be strategic? How do we network in a way that doesn't, I don't even really like to use that word, it's more like building relationships. How do we do this in a way that's gonna allow us to feel authentic and not slimy and not schmarmy and not gross about what we're doing? So, okay, first of all, we want to think about, and what we did for Sarah, we want to be thinking about who has access to your ideal client before potentially they call you. So for instance, if you're someone who works with eating disorders, are there people who, your client might either go to first or continue going to, as they're in therapy? So are there people like, are they going to a gut health doctor? Are they going to a dietitian? Or maybe if they're not as severe, are they going to some kind of like chiropractor or something because they're having all this stress and tension in their body? And sometimes those can be good referral sources for some niches and sometimes not. But like really get down to like thinking very clearly about who this ideal client is and the kinds of people they might be sharing this issue they're experiencing with and going to for help about this issue. So this also, I would say, is like thinking about providers who might be full already in your niche. And you can check out who is full by like searching on Google and seeing like who's coming up at the top of Google for being full already in this niche. And then those are often good people. Like if they're at the top of Google, they are probably full, to go talk with and share that you also work in this specialty and can help. So I would say like, yes, those people who have access to your ideal client, who your client might be talking to, other providers in your same niche who might be full. And then we also want to be thinking about people who wouldn't like really working with your niche. So these might be like, for instance, if you're someone who works with eating disorders, there are a lot of people who do not know how to work with eating disorders and do not want to work with eating disorders. Similarly, if you're a couples and families therapist, you might be thinking about, again, just networking with like individual therapists. There's so many therapists out there who work with like women with anxiety. Like, oh my gosh, a lot of these women are also interested in going to couples therapy. So those might be the kind of places you would go. So if you have a niche like that, like if you have a niche like teens, addiction, there's a lot of people who are not going to be super comfortable working with your people. So you have a lot of options when it comes to networking. If you have a niche that's a little more like a lot of therapists would be comfortable working with it, that's something that you could think a little more broadly about. Yes, maybe therapists who are full in this niche already, but also maybe thinking about some of these other providers, prescribers, doctors. Like, are there other people? Are there community places you might show up and be found, or boards that you want to be on where potentially your ideal client might be. Okay, so those are a couple of like good things to think about, is like, who are the people who wouldn't want to work with my niche? Who are the people in kind of adjacent niches too? So like if you worked with teenagers, you might be looking for those individual therapists who work with like, you know, moms with anxiety or something like that, because they're probably going to get asked a lot like, hey, do you know any therapists for my teenager? I don't work with teens, but I get asked for teen therapists all the time. Another place to look is like if your clients are prescribed, like people may often go to a prescriber first, whether that's a nurse practitioner or a psychiatrist. They can be great places to go, and it's like a gold mine if you are coordinating care with a prescriber, and then they, you know, they will think of you, like they will refer clients your way. So I would say if you have something like that, follow up with the prescriber and continue to develop a relationship and, you know, coordinate care if that makes sense and if it's relevant. If it's not relevant, maybe that is something that you can still reach out and just let them know, like, I'm working with your client, or I'm, you know, we have clients in common and would love to coordinate. Okay. So, all right. So with Sarah, she found these people and she connected with them and she continued to follow up with them, and the seas really parted for her. She started getting invited to podcasts, to speaking gigs, to summits, to publications, really, you name it. Like, she was getting invited to do so many things because of the fact that she was building these relationships. And building relationships is really just about being curious and giving value and really being willing to stay connected over time, following up with people. People refer, they often aren't going to really be like referring to you on like the first time they meet you. Like, that is kind of like an interaction that you might sort of like forget about. But they will probably be referring to you if you're someone that has continued to show up in their lives, who sends them cool stuff every once in a while, a cool video or meme that made you think of them. If you're someone that becomes their friend. So when you are reaching out to someone, the first thing I would say is like, show them, give them some value. Like, make your reach out to them personal. Show them that maybe you've read their site or a blog, or you like some aspect of what they do. And then you really want to like give them value. Like, make your networking time really about them. Like, let them you know, share about themselves. Don't even try to steer the conversation in the direction of like your practice and what you do or whatever. Just make it about connecting. Just make it about relating. And if your practice never comes up, it's okay. And then keep following up with people every month or so. And if you really like someone, make them your friend. So this is why my Liberated Practice method really focuses on these leveraging connections to help you get more referrals without you wasting time or feeling inauthentic. And I walk you through exactly what to do to determine where you should be spending your time and energy so that you're getting the biggest return on your time. And these relationships keep paying off for you over time. And then the other thing we really focus on in this is helping you, again, get found with Google and with SEO. And we try to help you get found from multiple angles. So the other thing we want, of course, is for you to have this website and be an expert, be showing up as an expert on your website so that you're the incomparable choice when clients find you. And so this is something else we work on, and really making your website speak to your ideal client. The last thing we focus on is what I call establishing success, and it's called embodied support. And it's really about you supporting yourself and having a practice that supports you and gives back to you rather than is draining for you and is aligned with the boundaries you want to have in your practice. But it's also one where you're supporting your ideal clients so that they want to come back to you and they refer people to you. And the last part of that is we want to be giving clients value on our website so that they trust us. So I'd love to chat with you more if this all sounds interesting and you are wondering about how we can do this for you and help build up your practice in 90 days. Book a call with me. I will put the link below, and I hope you have a lovely rest of your week.